This is week 7 of the spring trimester. I'm Jennifer Marie, and this is my Atelier diary. There's a summer workshop happening at my Atelier in Chicago. My instructor Magda will be teaching it, and I will be assisting her. It's a 2-part workshop. You can either take one or both. The first one is a drawing workshop. The second one is a painting one. So if you're interested on what we do in the atelier and kind of the techniques and how we build up a drawing from start to finish, painting from start to finish, you're curious about it, I would sign up for it. I've got all the details about it in the description box down below. I also have my email there, so if you have any questions about anything or you want to register, email me from there. All right, for the figure painting, I forgot to take a photo on Monday, so the image I'm showing right now is from Tuesday. So Monday, what I was working on was just getting more paint down and starting to get the shadow shape a little bit more refined, unified, working with the background, putting a wash down in the background. So I'm just trying to bring everything closer to nature, because what I had last week, I started the painting and it was just a wash, so the paint was put on really thinly. So I'm just trying to build it up a little bit more. And so by doing that, I take a shadow color to work on the shadow shape, but I'm also keeping in mind the background as well, because I want the shadow and the background to be pretty unified, because in this setup, the light shape of Delon is the brightest part, and since the background is a bit darker, it blends in really closely with the shadow that's on Delon. So when I'm painting this day, I'm trying to get those two values to be pretty close together so they unify. Tuesday, did the same thing again, working with the shadow shape and the background. This time though, I'm putting more paint down in the background. I'm getting a nicer layer of paint down in there, because before it was looking more like a wash over the background. I'm still correcting shapes and trying to keep everything as unified as possible. I'm also working with the darker halftone. So working with the darkest halftone, which is right next to the shadow, is helping me to get transitions to be smoother as they transitions from the shadow into the light. And then finishing this day, what I did was working in the lights. I mixed up different colors for Delon's skin tone, and I just dry brushed in really quickly over the imprimatura of the light shape so I can get it looking more closer to nature. So I can see that his legs and his arm that's straight down, they're these purpley colors. His stomach is more green, ochre, and then his chest is ochre but kind of has more pinks in them. So I'm just trying to, I only had like a little bit of time at the end of the day to work in the light shape, but just trying to bring everything closer to nature with all the time that I had. That's what I did. Wednesday, unfortunately, I wasn't able to come in for the figure session. So then on Thursday, what I did was I started in the lights and worked my way out into the darks. So I was looking at my painting, seeing the farthest thing from nature was that my painting isn't as bright as it is when I look at Delon. So I was working in the lights, trying to key it up. And this is the part in the blacken that I never really like what I do so far in it. I feel like every time I get to this stage, I get a little bit better, so I'm sure it's just, I just need more experience with doing this. But the lights always look not bright enough as I want it to be, and also not as colorful as I feel like I'm mixing the paint up to be. And I feel like I need to get a few layers down on the painting before I can get it as colorful and as bright as I need it to be. And I know that I usually get to where I want to be with that. I just want to be working on getting more efficient and getting it more accurately keyed up bright wise and also color wise sooner on. Friday then I went back and I started from the darks and worked my way up into the lights. So this day I made the shadows more colorful, again trying to keep everything unified with them and getting them more accurate, and also working the background with that. Magda came by for critique that day, and she said it looked like the shadow is a pretty good generalized idea of what it looks like on Delon. So, but she was saying that the light shape is the thing that's more lacking. One being shape-wise, and then 2, it was just looking not unified, like it was just choppy. So she said to go and work into the light area. So that's what I did, and I'm trying to think of everything in as big as planes as possible for how the light is moving across Delon and the colors as well. And actually, honest, I guess I'm more thinking about value and not so much color. Yet, I have kind of more just like a lighter value, a little bit darker, and I don't have that many variations in color yet at all. I think I want to get the value right first, and then I can start thinking about adjusting color from there. So I'm trying to keep everything as soft as what I see it, even more soft than what I see it, because I know that I'm going to be moving things around a lot, and I find it's a lot easier to move forms around if the edges are soft rather than really sharp. So I know I have to move a lot of things around because what I captured on Delon the first 3 days working on him on that transfer drawing, he was in a position because he just got up in the pose, or just it started this 5-week long pose, and at the end of that week he's kind of relaxed into a bit of a different pose. Like he had the arm that was straight down, that shoulder was lower than the one with the raised one, but now he's kind of relaxed into it in a different way that he's being a lot more consistent with, and so the angle of the shoulders have switched. And since it's so early on in the painting, I'm just chasing the pose, so I'm going to adjust it more to how he's more consistently holding himself now. So I am moving things around a lot, like changing the angle of the shoulders, and before the arm used to be like this, and now it's out a little bit more. So still just moving things around a lot. So I want to keep things soft, so I feel like I do have the freedom to keep adjusting and correcting. I still don't love quite how I block into figures yet with paint. I feel like at the start of it, it just feels really clumsy. Like the colors that I start putting on and then I put it on more colors and values, they change, and it's not always what I anticipate happening. So I think I just need more experience with that, but I would like to get better at having more smoother transition from the transfer drawing, wash, through a smooth block, and all the way up into resolving a painting. For my cast painting, I made huge changes this week. So before, what I was doing was I was moving from that main focal baby head outward, making sure that everything was subservient to that focal point. And I was moving out from that, but I found myself kind of like you could keep going back and correcting things and making small adjustments kind of forever if I keep going back to the focal point and moving out. So last week, Matt had talked to me about is to maybe get away from doing that and do the bigger, more impactful changes to the paintings with looking at the things that are farthest away from nature, that I haven't really touched in a while, that I need to repaint. So things that I did was I repainted the baby head that's all the way over to the right, and I made that a whole lot brighter. I worked on the baby head all the way over to the left. I made that cooler and brighter. Also made the head that's behind the main baby head cooler. I brought like pinkish tones into one of the legs that's on the baby that's to the left. Painted in paint chips. I finally put in the chains of the painting. I kind of redid the outside, or not redid it, I just made more specific the outline of the cast that's resting against the shadows of the background. What else did I do? I painted more in the background, and I painted the hand that's behind the baby head to the left. I repainted the hand and the scroll on the baby to the right. I just kind of kept circling around and trying to get anything that looked like it was lacking and farthest behind. I was working on those areas, and having myself in that mindset definitely helped me get things done a lot quicker and really felt like the painting was moving along then. And on Friday, I was working on the painting. I don't remember even what I was working on that day, but I had what always happens to me when I'm working on a project, where something just switches in my brain and I feel so done with the project and I don't want to work on it anymore. And I always end up just like switches, and I just hate it, and I hate everything that I've done, and I just want it out of my sight. And I feel like usually I've talked to other people about, and usually it's a more gradual thing that I think happens to people where they're like, feel like, oh, I kind of don't want to be working on this project anymore, but they keep pushing, but like more and more they feel like they don't want to work on it, and then they just finish it up and end it. But for me, every time it's always like a snap fast switch where it wasn't gradual at all, and it like just happens in an instant where I just am sick of it and I don't want to work on it anymore, and I just like hate everything. And that happened with all of my casts before. My last cast that I did of the Venus, once I said that it's finished, I don't know why, I just like hate it, and I hate looking at it, and I have to put it away for a while, for months, and then when I look at it again, I like that now. So I don't know if it's just like I just need time away from it so I can see it fresh again. But I just got like so frustrated with this cast all of a sudden, and I don't know, I think also it's because when I know I'm nearing the end of a painting, and I want to be always making better and better paintings, and I'm always looking in art history books and comparing my work to the masters, and that I think it's when I feel like I reach, this is where I'm at right now, this is what I can do, and it's not as good as Rembrandt, then that's when I start like hating, just, I shouldn't say hating, I just get really frustrated, and I don't know, I just want to put it away and I want to start something else. And because I know in a new painting it's a fresh start, and I know I'm gonna work really hard that I can get it better than the one that I was just previously working on. I just feel like I need space away from my work. I feel like that's healthy. So I feel like in the future, when I have my own studio, I would love to be working on multiple projects at once. So once I have that like switch go off in my brain where I just can't stand looking at the piece anymore, and I feel like I've reached my limit and I don't want to look at it anymore, if I could just flip it around and I have other projects that I can work on, and maybe in a month or a couple months I can turn the painting back around and get a fresh eye on it, I think that would be really good in the future. But I can't do that right now in school because I have a studio space and the cast is huge and it takes up my whole studio space. Oh, I just think it's time to be done with it. So I talked to Matt and Magda, and I know there's two things that I want to work on to finish it, because if I don't rework on these areas, I think that'll just like really bug me. And it's two hands and a scroll that I want to work on. And Magda was saying she wants me to work on the paint chips that are on the bottom, and I think that's it. So hopefully I can get this done in 2 or 3 days. It's definitely going to be done by Friday. I don't know, Matt and Magda might make me work on it longer. I feel like that might happen too, but I just want to be done with it and finish it up. But man, this is my last cast, and I think that's finally like hitting me that I'm going to be done with the cast program. Oh, which will be great, because I did you have the BARG program, which lasts between 2 or 3 trimesters generally, and then you have the cast program, and you're doing cast in charcoal drawings and for about a year, and then painting for about a year. For me, it's taken longer. I think I've been in the cast program for 2 or 3 years, and then I get to move on to the last thing, which is still life, and a big final project as well. But I'm pretty excited to start something new and be done with cast and to start working on still lifes. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then I think I get to move up to from a limited palette, I get to add more colors to my palette as well. Anyways, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I finish it. I feel like I gotta do something for finishing up. One, just this massive cast, but then also finishing up the CAS program. And finally, all the extras that I did this week. So on Monday we have a portrait class now. This is the second painting that I've done. It's of a model named Rex. So what I did was I used a shadow color to make a wash, and I was also using colors. Before it was just like a grisaille thing, and so this one I'm trying to get more accurate colors. Kind of the same thing though, which I was talking about earlier with the figure painting, is that I feel like it's never as bright as I think it's going to be and never as colorful as I think I'm mixing the colors up. So we do have, I think, just 1 or 2 more days. I think probably just 1 more day with Rex where I'll do another layer over it. Another thing I saw is that I think I made his face too small for his head, so I have some adjustments to make on this, but these portrait class things have been a lot of fun and a lot of good practice. And then on Tuesday for the evening drawing, we had a new model named Larry come in, and this is how my drawing turned out. I was teaching this day, so I didn't have a lot of time to work on this drawing, so this is what I got done in the time that I had.